Hey everybody, this is graphic designer Roberto Blake, and hold on to your hats because in this video, I'm gonna get a little ranty. So, some of you might remember that I did a Fiverr logo design rant, and this is not going to be another Fiverr logo design rant. This rant is going to be about free and cheap logos that were done by big companies. And this is nothing against those companies, because here's the thing, and I had somebody in the comments bring this up once or twice, and I dropped some facts on the last person to do it, and I'm going to take the advantage of this video to drop facts on everybody about those free and cheap logos that were done for those big companies, because here's the thing. When people want to devalue designers and tell them how much their craft is worth, in a way that they would never think to disrespect a plumber, an electrician, a mechanic, and tell them what the value of their time and their services are worth, or God forbid, if you approach them as a business person and said, you know what, I want to pay what I think is fair for your services. They would never accept that, and they would never let you do that. But with designers and creative service people, with writers and so on and so forth, they feel entitled to tell us how much our craft is worth because, we're not sitting there, hammering away with tools, getting our hands dirty. They feel they can do that. And I want to correct that. And then they throw things in our face like the Twitter logo, the Google logo, and the Nike logo and the Coca-Cola logo specifically in our face that those things were cheap or free between $0 and $35. I'm going to break down the story and the facts on each of those companies' logos for you so that you can attack those people with facts and knowledge and make them understand context. And here's the other thing about context. I won't say that you shouldn't ever work for free, but unless it's a relative or something, or a friend of family, or there's a reason behind it that you want to work for a small local business for free or something like that, never let someone disrespect your time by asking you to give it away if you haven't offered to give it away because you believe in it as a cause. If you want to offer your time for free, I feel you should absolutely do that. I think that can be a good thing to do for charity or someone you care about. I think that if there's an advantage in something else you're going to get, that you should do that. And I think that even if it's a big company or a big name that can afford to pay you, that if you're going to get something in return like access, I would work, for example, for George R. R. Martin for free. You know why? I'm going to ask him to sign every one of my Game of Thrones books if I do. So George, if you're watching, and I hope you are, let's make that happen. I will do poster design for HBO and Game of Thrones, and all I ask in return, aside from maybe a selfie and some merch, is sign my books. That's it. Damon John from Shark Tank. I'll hustle for him for free. Gary Vaynerchuk and Mark Cuban, same offer applies. One, because of the value they create, and two, because of the access and the fact that I know that marketing-wise they'll pay it forward. And even if they didn't, I have a story to tell off of that is worth a lot more and will drive so much more business than me than I could afford to work for them for free. Also understand, I'm in a position as a designer and as a personal brand to where maybe I can afford to give a few hours of my time, 10, 20 hours of my time, to do something like that where I feel there's an advantage to it. So I'm in a position to where I can do that. Now, somebody that is beginning their business or is just scraping by, absolutely is not in a position to give away their time, nor should they, and it wouldn't make good business sense for them to do it. So it's disrespectful to ask for it if they don't offer it, or to tell them what their time is worth, because as a business person, they've made a predetermination of what the value of their time is in proportion to also what their business considerations, needs, goals, and profit margin are, and it's not for you to contradict that based on your wallet or your budget or what you think. You would never do that to an established business of any kind. You would not walk into the local Best Buy or Office Depot and insist that they mark down a printer for $50 more because you think that that's what it's worth. You'd never do that. So don't go and do that with a service provider or a vendor because, again, it's just rude and it's disrespectful, and you wouldn't want it done to you as a business person because you already have calculated what your needs are as a business person. So why would you disrespect someone else that way? Just something to think about. Empathy. Now, I already warned you guys, ranty. I'm going in on this. I know I'm usually very happy, very positive, and that's who I really am, but this topic is very frustrating for me because I think that as human beings, we need the empathy to value people appropriately and also not disrespect people if they, are in a position to justify what they're asking for. And I think that, people should be dealt with fairly and appropriately. And I think things like Fiverr, even if it's not bad, it creates a culture on the client side of the expectation of getting something for next to nothing that I don't agree with. Just because it might be, a lot of money to someone overseas, don't expect that context to translate over to the first world, because you know better and you know the needs of someone in the first world are very different. So don't expect them to compete on price with somebody in the third world. That's not fair any more than it would be for them to do the same thing to you and expect you to give them goods or products at the rates that they do in Taiwan or China or what have you. So again, be fair and be respectful of people the same way you would want to be treated. But let's go into this logo design history. So let's talk about the Twitter logo. So fun fact, Simon Oxley, I believe is the name, and if it's not, I'll correct it in the description, of the original logo design for Twitter, and he got 15 bucks for that, of which he only received about 4 or 5. Why? It was a stock image from iStock Photo, and you can look this up. I'll link it up in an article, but you can look this up for yourself. And the deal was that they didn't have the licensing for that to use it as a logo, so it was redesigned in-house at, internal cost. So when someone says, oh, well, the Twitter logo design only costs $50, it's like, sorry, $15. Yes. And if you want a logo that's a stock image that 100 other people or 1,000 other people can buy and that you're going to modify, feel free to get it for $15 and not have a unique logo. That's the reality of it. So then you end up possibly having potential liability issues in terms of not agreeing to the usage license, but you could purchase exclusivity for considerably more money, hundreds of dollars, which is appropriate. Or you could go the route Twitter did and then say, well, we like the concept, so we're just going to redesign something completely unique and different. And that's why the original Twitter bird versus the current Twitter bird look very different. Is not only did the design and the needs evolve as the company grew, but from a legal standpoint, they had to change it. So the Twitter logo did not, in fact, cost $15. It cost whatever the salary of the in-house designer was. As for the Google logo, it cost $0. Do you know why? One of the founders of Google designed the logo himself, the original logo, in GIMP. So it costs $0. Guess what my logos cost? My logos cost me $0 because I'm a graphic designer and I can do that stuff myself for free. So if you want to pay $0 and you have the chops to do it yourself, or you don't and you're just going to do it anyway, it will absolutely cost you $0. So your company's logo can cost $0 as well if you are willing to do it yourself. That's perfectly fine. You can get a free trial of Photoshop, you can use GIMP, you can use Inkscape, you can use Illustrator, you can do any of those things. You can look some stuff up on Google, you can watch my tutorials, which are perfectly fine to do, and it's perfectly appropriate for you to pay $0 if you're willing to do your work yourself. I absolutely pay $0 for all of my infrastructure and all the needs of my business or any other business that I would want to launch. I would pay $0 to get the logo design, the web design, the video marketing, the SEO, the marketing, the consulting, all of that, the brand development. It would cost the copywriting. It would all cost me $0, and it does all cost me $0 because I do it myself. So Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is interesting because it's a much older company, and the person who did that was the accountant for the owners of Coca-Cola and a personal friend that they have a relationship with. So when you get a personal friend to do something for you, they might do it as a favor, and you don't know the context of that relationship. So when that's free, but it was a free because it was a favor and it was from a friend or a longtime business associate, guess what? Doesn't count. So again, you want something for free and you're not going to do it yourself. Maybe you know somebody that's interesting and talented or has a few design chops or knows some typography or some scripting or knows a few things, and they can do it for you for free. That's fine. Get a friend to do it for free, but don't try and devalue a designer and tell them they should do it for free or $35 or $50 or whatever. Nike. They talk about the Nike logo design. I think, again, another $15 or $35 one. Okay. You know what they did? They gave that person 500 shares in Nike. Do you know what the value of 500 shares in Nike is today? It's $600,000. Yeah, I'll do a logo for you for $35 for 500 shares in a company that's going to be valued at billions of dollars. I'll do that right now. Anyone have a multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar company and they want some work and they want to give me stock options? Let's go right now. I'm serious. Let's put that on the table. I will do work for equity, for stock options in a company that's going to be highly valued, in my opinion, as a startup, or is currently highly valued, or is in the investment angel round. Let's go. Let's do that right now. I'm opening the floor to anyone who wants to work with me in exchange for stock equity in their company that's in their first round of angel investing, let's go. I'm ready to work. Let's make it happen. So again, understand the context before you start throwing out stories like this. Understand that that stuff was not really free unless it was done itself, by the person who was founding the company, like how I did my own logo designs. Understand that it's not really free, or if you had a friend do it, there are friends that I've done free favors for, but I got something else in return. They did other things for me for free, etc. So there is that. Value for value. I honestly believe in that. Bartering is fine as long as it's an appropriate trade. Do that. That's again a good thing to do. And if someone can create value for it, I do trades with people all the time for little things that I need done or things they need done, or just we're so used to it we don't even keep track, quid pro quo, whatever. And sometimes because I actually care about what the other person is creating, I've gone out and done things for free for people to create value for them because I believe in what they're doing, not necessarily for me, but maybe I benefited without them knowing from something they did in an inspirational way or what have you. So I'll do things for them for free. It's fine. But guess what? I have the luxury and I'm in a position to do that. And they would never ask me to do it for free. They would never ask me to do it for free. I had someone that I did something for recently without a true, genuine expectation of return because I felt they created value for me. And you know what they did? They paid me anyway. That's happened more than once before. And you know what? They paid me whatever I felt was worth the time that I put in. And I was fair about that. And in truth, I honestly, I'll tell you flat out, I cut the rate in half because I felt that good about the relationship and knowing that because they went that way, that I was like, you know what? I don't have to do this the regular way. I can go another way with this, and I know that they'll appreciate what I'm doing and where the value of the relationship is. And you know what? That's fine. And again, I'm just being transparent with this. I'm barely editing this thing, because I just want to go straight through. And I want you to see that it's like, this is not polished, this is not prepped, this is not me reading off notes, blah, blah, blah. This is just how I straight up feel about this and why I think it's important to understand the context of the relationships you want to build in business, especially when you're developing a business, a company, a brand, the logo being part of the foundation of that and how you present to the world. And you need to invest in that. And you need to deal with people fairly and appropriately because it says a lot about you. When you want to seek out things for free or for cheap, and then you're positioning yourself where the story of your business, when people talk about you, and people do talk, that's going to be a thing. And if you're not a Twitter, a Nike, a what have you, can your reputation and brand really help, can it sustain the hit of, you know what, don't work with that guy, or, oh yeah, that guy looks like he's big time, or that gal looks like she's big time. Oh, they ask for stuff for free all the time. You don't want to do, oh, you're going to go and you're going to pitch them on something? Yeah, you're wasting your time. They don't want to pay anybody. People talk. And in the creative services industry, you don't want that reputation, and you will find yourself in a position where you're never able to work with the best talent if that's the case. So, your reputation does precede you in that way. And understand that the way you treat and value your vendors, your service providers, and other people is going to trickle down to, your customers and how they perceive and feel about you based on reputation, because you don't know who somebody is. And when you speak to them or treat them a certain way, you don't know how far that can carry. There's no one person that is irrelevant. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time. You think that, slighting somebody who has 4 followers on Twitter is nothing. Those are 4 human beings. That's never nothing. And one of those 4 human beings, for all you know, could be one connection away from Oprah. Then it becomes really, really important or really detrimental to your brand and to your reputation really quickly. And again, you just never know. So take that into context. Treat people fairly. When someone tells you their prices, don't tell them that it's not worth that. Tell them that you're not willing to pay that. Tell them you can't afford it if that's what the honest case is. But don't dictate to somebody what you think their time, their resources, their abilities are actually worth in a disrespectful manner. Now, again, I have some resource links in the description below so that you can do your own checking into this stuff and everything. But that's the information I found on this. And again, just understand the context that cheap logo design might be available. It might be out there. And again, if you're a small business, a mom and pop, I get it. You might not have hundreds or thousands of dollars to invest into it. I get it. But in that case, talk to students, talk to friends who might have design skills, but don't sit there and contact and look up designers that you say, oh, I love their work, and then try to tell them that, well, your work isn't worth that much. I love it. I want to work with you, but I'm not willing to pay what you're asking. That's like going into a store saying, oh, that's the one I want, or that's the thing I need, and then wanting to haggle at the counter. You're not going to be allowed to do that. So don't think that it's appropriate to do it in another context. Anyway, I'm sure some of you will have some interesting things to say in the comment section below, but if you happen to enjoy this video, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome content on the channel. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, create something awesome today.